A native of Stony Brook, New York, Skip played soccer at Binghamton from 1986 through 1989. A four-year midfielder and two-time All-Conference and All-State selection, Curth led his teams to 3 NCAA tournament berths, 13 wins a season, and a lofty win percentage of 73% during his tenure. As a freshman, Curth earned a steady role for a squad that won 12 of its first 14 games and was ranked as high as number 5 nationally. In 1987, Curth was entrenched in a key central midfield role, and the Colonials again moved to the top of the New York State regional rankings at number 5 in the country with a regular season record of 13-1-1. The team produced school records of 10 shutouts and 8 consecutive wins, earned a share of the SUNYAC title, and served as host for the NCAA first round as the top seed in the region. The 1988 squad, leaned on Curth and his production and leadership, advanced the Colonials to a second straight NCAA tournament berth. After an up-and-down regular season, the team needed to win the SUNYAC title to pave its way to the 2014 national tournament. Curth played a key role in a pair of 1-0 wins over Fredonia and Oswego that accomplished that task. He drew the foul that resulted in the deciding penalty kick goal at top seed Fredonia, then assisted on the game-winning goal in the title game victory over Oswego. For the season, Curth scored a team-high 8 goals and totaled 20 points. He was named All-SUNYAC and All-Region and was the department's Team Sport Athlete of the Year. As a senior captain, Curth notched 5 goals and led a veteran Colonial team to the program's 6th SUNYAC title and 3rd straight NCAA berth. Along the way, the team set school records for wins with 16 and consecutive wins with 12. Curth was honored as the Fred Holloway Award recipient as the best player in the SUNYAC East Division, and he repeated as both an All-SUNYAC and All-Region selection. Curth capped his senior year as the John Bilos Award winner for career achievement and went on to earn a bachelor's degree in accounting in 1990. Skip Curth, forever enshrined in the Binghamton University Athletics Hall of Fame. Skip, please come forward. Gene Marshall will present you with your award.
So after that nice intro, I should probably not say anything. No. So it's such an honor to be here today. So thank you. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my mom, who's here, my dad, who's deceased. But their dedication to investing in me, is why I'm up here today, right? They didn't have the same passion for soccer I had, but they had passion for me and making sure I was successful. So they drove me around, like I'm sure all you're doing with your kids. I've done as well with my daughter Carla and my other 2. And they made sure that they invested in me, which was really the way I got to where I am. So thank you, Mom. I think you always have to, count on your teammates, your coaches over the years. They help you shape you what you are and then what you become. And you learn a lot through the experiences of being on a team. So I think, we should all relish in the fact that teamwork and camaraderie really resonate and make you a better person. And then, I just want to make sure that I really recognize, Coach Shum. I think, he believed in me. He not only made me a better player, but over the course of my 4 years here, made me a better person. I learned how to work hard under Coach. I always worked hard, but I learned how to work a little harder, push myself a bit, but also enjoy the now of being in the game and enjoying the teamwork and everything else that went into it. And I think he instilled the fact that, you work hard, you have some fun, and you can do it both, right? You can do both things. You can have a good time, with your craft, and still be a great, and still work hard and win and enjoy it. So thank you, Coach, for that, and your tutelage for such a formidable time in my life, and helped me shape to the person I am today. So thank you. So I'll give you a clap for that. Okay. And then, I was thinking, like, when I look back on my time at Binghamton, there's a lot of interesting takeaways that that help define me as a person, right, and prepare me for my post-collegiate life. One of the things I think was highlighted by Coach and others, is I think we sometimes downplay the concept of sportsmanship and actually graciously losing, right? I mean, you're going to show up, you might have the best game of your life, but sometimes you lose. You got to get up the next day and make it happen. And sportsmanship, sometimes you play by all the rules and you do everything right, and you have to just recognize that that's the way to do things. I remember I was in one of the games, and like a minute and a half into the game, I got an elbow in the nose and I broke my nose from Cortland, and coach was very mad because it wasn't sportsmanlike behavior. It was totally a blow to the team. It wasn't really how you wanted to play the game, and I know that the whole team stood up for that. And it's one of those things you realize that, you do the right thing comes back to you as well. I think the other thing that, was highlighted in some of the video is, teamwork is important, right? And having, and figuring out when to lead and when to follow was sort of the balance of working on a team and understanding things. So, when Raul was on he was the senior on the team and I was a sophomore, and, him and Andy, who, both All-Americans and in the Hall of Fame, they were senior leaders, and, I recognized that I was there to do a role to support them and support the team. And then when they left and graduated, there was a void to fill, and I was able to step up and make that happen, which was great. And our assistant coach, Jim Bagliardo, said to me, after one of the games when I was a junior, he's like, well, why didn't you play like this last year? I said, I kind of did, but it wasn't my role to be doing what I'm doing. It was the role for Andy and Raul to do that. And he's like, you're right. And it made me realize that, teamwork is about everybody, and it's about finding a role, filling it, and understanding it, and making that happen. And I think the thing that you realize, and I think Coach said this in the little write-up, is when you look at your position, sometimes it changes, sometimes things happen. You're not the highest goal scorer, and we changed our tactics when I was a senior, and I moved to more of a central midfield role. We played like a 4-3-3, and frankly, I was not in a position to score a lot of goals, but it made everybody else better. And that was really what we wanted to do. And we did really well as a team, and Coach's tactics paid off, and, obviously made the NCAA playoffs and had a finally, very successful career. So, I think it was an important piece of the puzzle to realize, everything kind of can change, but if you really believe in the team and everything else, things tend to work themselves out the right way. The other thing that I think, is interesting that I learned a lot about was, preparation and focus, right? We did a lot of pregame workouts and things, and, made sure things were there. And I will tell you that, our goal was never to take anything for granted, and, Coach made us involved in this. And there's a very funny story that I don't even know Coach knows. I've never told him this one, but one time we were playing a team that really wasn't that good, and I think we ultimately ended up winning like 6-0 or something. And we were kind of really dicking around, to be honest with you, in the locker room, and it wasn't really too focused. And Coach came into the room, and he saw us, and he was looking around. He just gave us a pregame speech usually, and then we'd walk out on the field. But he realized that we weren't really that serious about this game for some reason. He wanted to make an impact when he walked into the locker room, and so he grabbed the door, and I was standing right by the door. I was like sitting down, right, and my locker was right by the door, and he goes to grab the door and slam it, and it was very, very powerful until the door hit the piston that like makes it like smoothly operate into the thing. So there was no door slamming involved. It was like a but he yelled at us at that point, and then he yelled at us at that point, and we got the picture, let's just say. But not everybody saw it. I saw it. I remember zipping up my shirt like all the way up to here because I didn't want to get caught laughing at him. But it was one of those things where you realize that your focus, your preparation, was part of what we did in the soccer field, but it's what you do in life, right? And that's really translated very well into doing the things that I did, post collegiately, with business. The other thing that you realize is, hard work does pay off, right? You don't know when you can turn it on and off. You just consistently work hard. You'll get to where you need to go. And I think that was really a key thing. Coach mentioned it in the video. Nobody really likes to do sprints at the end of practice, but you know what? That pushes you a little bit harder. It translates into what you can do in life. And you know what? When you got to get up there and make it happen, whether that's, in playing soccer or doing something, within your work life, you just push yourself, and you know how to do it. And that's something that sports taught me, pretty early on, which is great. And then, the one thing that, I'll leave with I think a very funny story. The one thing you realize is that, your teammates are not only, teammates, they ultimately become friends, and you build lots of camaraderie, and you go through lots of battles with them to, so you gain a lot of trust, and you get a lot of confidence in them, and you also recognize that you have people that have differences, right? And you really appreciate that. And so, last time I was with Coach, we had a very, we played golf over the summer, and, Coach we didn't talk about, oh, this game or this goal or this, that. We talked about these interesting things that happen with players on the team, and, we missed the bus to get to like a game upstate. But, one of the funny ones was Coach is like, yeah, remember that time when, we lost the window in the bus coming back from Stony Brook? And he's like, yeah, there's a malfunctioning window. And I said, Coach, you don't really know what happened, do you? And he goes, no. I go, okay. So we went to Stony Brook. We had like one of those mini buses, not like a Coach bus. And there was no bathroom in the bus. We won the tournament. Coach goes, doesn't know, but like we walked across the street. Some of the older players got some beers, and we started drinking beers on the back of the bus. And we get to like the George Washington Bridge, and people are like, oh boy, like we got to figure out like how to like go to the bathroom. Some guys gets a big bowl, goes to the bathroom, and well, what are we going to do with it now? And Crazy Bob, who was his nickname, he was kind of crazy. Crazy's like, I'll handle it. And he opens up the emergency window and pours out, what's in the bowl. And then, Coach is like, what? I'm like, and then keeps doing it, and then ultimately pulls the window out at one point, and it falls out off the hinges, and he's holding onto it, and he thought he was going to fly out the back of the bus. Drops the window. Oh boy, right? And Coach, now, when I was telling him the story, he was crying. He was like, this is really what happened? I'm like, yes. And then we would kept going up to the front of the bus and say to Coach, he'd be like, it's really cold in here, because now we're going through Pennsylvania at the end of October, and it's like, 50 degrees. And then we kept telling the bus driver to turn the window. And the moral of the story is that it was funny, and it was like, these are things that he didn't know about, but what you realize is the friendships and the things you build and the experiences you have off the field become just as important as what you did on the field. And we talked more about what we did off the field that year than we talked about when we played golf, than we talked about any particular game, because it's about the friendships and the relationships you build with people that really make a difference in your life. So I want to thank Coach for helping me, create those relationships and make that happen. So I'll leave you guys with that. Finally, I want to say I'm very honored to be recognized here. My experiences here were just tremendous, and I really think that my time both here on the soccer field and off the soccer field has truly helped me to be the best person I can be and shape me to be where I am today. So thank you guys for everything, and I appreciate it.